Despite the hike in targeted summary execution of our innocent people by Paul Biya's killer squads, I still believe we are now at the twilight of our political daybreak, emptying the combined worth and wealth of a lifetime fortune into the country of our collective dream.
A place we can surely come home.
At last, my people, the wind of total liberation is sweeping through Amazonia, our priceless inheritance.
The land of our forebears.
A place we can surely come home.
30 years ago, a vicious dictator declared war on our sovereign nation of Amazonia. It is a war we did not seek nor provoke, but are determined to muster every strength we can harness and continue sending the message to our enemy that we have risen before no more.
We have paid dues for everything. We pay tax for goods we buy. We pay fuel in our cars. We pay hospital bills and dues for all other sacrifices.
I can give all I have for the one hope that I have.
Because I hate my CID, and I should be proudly Amazonian. What about you?
Let's get it straight. The freedom of Amazonia will not depend on the free will of our enemies.
Independence will be the days away if we get it right in our CID.
My dear comrades, I am appealing to every Amazonian to register with the CID program.
We have no control over our distorted history, but with our CID, we can set the pace and determine the future of Amazonia.
Yes, we hope for the future is in our hands. As an Amazonian, my identity is complete. My right is guaranteed. My vote will always count as I pay my CID.
As an Amazonian, I will shape the future with my CID.
With your CID of just $10 per month, the interim government is contract to fulfill all that you wish to be done.
Let us build a freedom mansion from the little blood, which is our CID living.
There will be food for everyone, hope for every child, justice for every citizen when we pay our CID levy.
Yes, the dream we can realize with my compulsory independence dues, CID. I have the opportunity to give to the next generation a greater nation, better than we inherited.
Yes, CID program is freedom made easy, freedom made cheap, freedom for Amazonia now.
Of the Amba school massacre have been sentenced to death by firing squad. French Cameroon insinuates Amazonians' leadership is compliant with the school resumption. Colonial police's cruelty leads to the death of Papa Yemen Chuba Andreas. The opposition leader of Conakry urges coup leaders to work together to build a peaceful democracy. 17-year-old Korean CEO made $1 million in sales this year. Ronaldo Nazario doubts that Paris Saint-Germain will win the Champions League despite adding Lionel Messi. These stories and more in this edition of ABC Amba News.
Don't you hate it when that happens to you? When it does, you need this and this and this. When it happens to me, I always know where to go. When you've got professionals on your side, your problems don't stand a chance. What are you waiting for? Contact them today and let them take care of your problems.
ABC News has learned that the suspects accused of the Amba school massacre have been sentenced to death by firing squad. It appears that the colonial government of La République du Cameroon knows no limits in her attempts to conceal the truth, to manipulate the international community, and to sway public opinion. According to reports from VIA, the condemned have up to 10 days to appeal their sentence. Why are civilians being tried in military court? Comfort Confer has the story.
La République du Cameroon is relentless in their crafty talent of fact twisting, brazen lying, attempts to hide the truth about their atrocious deeds in Ambazonia, and trying to make believe the international community that they have everything in control. As reported by Mimi Mefo Info, some 4 individuals who were accused and charged with the horrendous massacre of students in October 2020 at the Mother Francisca International Bilingual Academy in Kumba, Meme County of Ambazonia. Apparently, a judgment made in the Buea Military Tribunal this week would sentence them to death, except they make an appeal within a couple of days. The report says the military court found these persons guilty of various crimes, including acts of terrorism, hostility against the fatherland, secession, insurrection, murder, and illegal possession of arms and ammunitions. It is amazing how Emmanuel Macron of France and his puppet King Biya of Etudi still believe, after 5 years of the senseless war, that doing the same wrong thing repeatedly can yield different results. While they concentrate on recycling lies to impose their wish on Ambazonians through a compromised United Nations, as Southern Cameroonian social media activists call them, the Ambazonia Restoration Forces cannot sleep but improve on their guerrilla tactics and on their self-made weaponry as they shoot their way to the Swiss-led negotiation where they will discuss terms of separation. Because according to them, the independence of the former British Trust territory, Ambazonia, can only be restored. Law is hard. That was Barrister Thankful Richards' response to the death sentence of the civilians by the military court. Many critics appreciate this reaction from a legal mind, not as law being literally hard, but because in that part of the country called French Cameroon, lawyers can only say what the government tells them to say. The crimes that have been levied on the above said persons whose names, sex and ages nobody knows are not new to the ears of the masses. The over 80-year-old Mami Api who was burnt alive, Baby Martha who was shot point blank, the gruesome massacre of Ngarbu on the 14th of February 2020, and the rest of the heinous acts perpetrated by the La République du Cameroun trained killers in Ambazonia were all linked to such lame accusations by the invading neighboring government. An excerpt from Mimi Mefo Info says, no one claimed responsibility for the attack but government and separatists, as in similar past instances, traded blame. Nevertheless, Ambazonians and even the Biya regime know that the malicious genocide in Kumba was carried out by the BIRs. The Bulubeti cabal has never cared when people died to do something, but they were so concerned with this same incident that their Minister of Territorial Affairs, Paul Atanganji, was there to bury the bereaved, as he said in his own words. They took hostage of the corpses and released them only upon burial, because the La République du Cameroun government wanted to seal evidence of their bullets in the bodies of Ambazonian innocent children they killed. If Ambazonians cannot stop saying enough is enough, then the United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, the United States of America, Antonio Guterres and the rest of the world need to stand up now and do what needs to be done for enough to be enough. Ambazonians are craving for justice and permanent peace. In that order, Comfort Confo on Prime Reports with ABC Amba News.
In yet another heartbreaking story, the colonial police's cruelty leads to the death of Papa Yemen Chuba Andreas. As we well know, over 30,000 Ambazonians have lost their lives in this continuous and senseless 5-year war. When will it end? Mike Fusey has the report.
It has been reported that more than 30,000 Ambazonians have been killed in the war declared by Paul Biya of La République du Cameroun on the people of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. This number is only a tip of the iceberg, as it does not take into account those deaths that occur due to the hardships and trauma caused by the war. This is the case of one Pa Yemen Chuba Andreas, a retired teacher of GBHS downtown Bamenda, who died of a heart attack triggered by the trauma of the war. Sources close to the family have revealed to ABC Amba TV that on August 9th, 2021, Pa Chuba Andreas woke up that morning and went about his regular daily routine of meditation, prayers, reading of the Bible, and writing and sending out of inspirational posts on WhatsApp. On that fateful morning, Pa heard a knock on the door, and when he opened it, there were police officers who asked to search the house. It was later revealed that they were conducting a kale-kale. It should be noted here that the kale-kale is a habit of the police and gendarmes of La République du Cameroun to go about arresting people indiscriminately and brutalizing most of them even without any charge. As soon as the police had left the house, there were gunshots and commotion outside, and the trauma from the gunshots caused Pa Chuba to suffer cardiac arrest as he started sweating profusely. He was rushed to the hospital and placed on oxygen to assist with his breathing, but Pa had already lost consciousness. All efforts at saving his life were futile, and he died at the regional hospital in Bamenda. His death only goes to add to the number of thousands of Ambazonians who've lost their lives not from any direct exchange of gunfire from the war, but from the untold suffering and trauma caused by this senseless war declared on Ambazonians by Paul Biya, President of La République du Cameroon. If the colonial police had not knocked on Pa Chuba's door on that fateful day of August 9th, 2021, he'll probably still be alive today. How many more innocent souls will have to perish before Paul Biya will call off this senseless war? Well, that depends on whether Paul Biya really cares about the lives being destroyed by this war. No, he does not. He does not care. He doesn't even care about the lives of his own soldiers who are being blown to pieces every day in Ambazonia. Can La République du Cameroon do what the Guineans just did? Let's wait and see. Mike Fusey for Prime Reports on ABC Amba News.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft.
General Obag of Ndu LGA in Donga-Mantung County launches an offensive on the military of occupation, leaving one of the BIRs heavily injured. Fear grips the colonial administrators of Donga-Mantung County as the operation leaves the scene without any trace of the Ambazonian Restoration Forces. Again, Comfort Confer has the story.
A hostile attack was launched by the armed insurgent Ambazonia Restoration Forces of Ndu in Donga-Mantung County, under the command of General Obag, leading to a grave injury of one of La République du Cameroon's intruding uniformed men. Our informant on the ground has confirmed that General Obag and his team planted an explosive which they call Manye yesterday, the 7th of September 2021, at the three-corner Kakar around the Ndu Tea estate, where the BIR planted a checkpoint to be extorting money from indigenous business people and transporters. He added that the BIR in question was lucky to have only been wounded by the explosive, which he described as being very lethal. Although he was rushed to the hospital, he may still not survive, our source concluded. According to the Defense Chief of Staff for DMC, the operation, which ended without any traces of ARFs at the scene, have left the mayor and the SDO fear-gripped. Other eyewitnesses say immediately after the incident, the surviving cowardly genocidal squad moved their checkpoint to somewhere around Total Fuel Station in Ndu Town. Because Donga-Mantung County is heavily militarized, it was difficult to get any images due to a backup squad that flooded the area all the way from their headquarters in Kambe. This story was also reported by Jennifer DK on Facebook, and it was welcomed by comments from Ambazonians like, "We will smoke all the colonial terrorist soldiers and their administrators out of the southern Cameroon's territory. One people, one power. Southern Cameroons must be restored by thunder or by fire." Does this mean anything to the dictatorial regime of occupation? One might be tempted to respond by borrowing from a songwriter of Ambazonian extraction, IPP Awilo, who says in the occupier's language of assimilation, "Les choses are verifié. The handwriting on the wall is very clear. Comfort Confo on Prime Reports with ABC Amba News.
In foreign news, the opposition leader in Conakry said that he would back the coup leaders in their fight against corruption and impunity, urging them to work together to, quote, build a peaceful democracy in our country. Eunice Momo, our correspondent in Lagos, Nigeria, has the report.
Guinea's main opposition leader has welcomed Sunday's ousting of President Alpha Condé, calling it an opportunity for a new beginning for the country. Selo Dalem Diallo said the army had made the historic act that completes the fight started by pro-democracy groups. He urged the army to ensure there was national reconciliation. The United Nations African Union and Regional Body Economic Community of West African States have condemned the coup, saying that constitutional order should be restored. They have also called for the release of President Condé, who was last seen on Sunday surrounded by the Army's special forces. The coup leader, Mamadi Doumbouya, told reporters on Monday that the ousted leader was in their custody and was safe. Mr. Diallo was the president's main challenger in last year's election, which saw Mr. Condé run for a controversial third term. The ousted leader was initially elected in 2010 in the country's first democratic transfer of power. Despite overseeing some economic progress, he has since been accused of presiding over numerous human rights abuses and harassment of his critics. In a statement made on Monday, Mr. Diallo, who once served as Mr. Condé's prime minister, called the coup a victory of our people and the failure of the dictatorial regime. He said the takeover completes the work of his National Alliance for Democratic Consolidation Party and other pre-democracy groups. The opposition leader said he would back the coup leaders in the fight against corruption and impunity, urging them to work together to build a peaceful democracy in our country. I am Eunice Momo on Prime Reports with ABC Amba News.
And now for business news. At just 17 years old, Sukani Hong has realized his entrepreneurial dream by building not one, but two successful businesses. The first, a South Korean fashion brand, which he is the CEO, has made over $1 million in sales this year and won the recognition of Harvard University. The second, a Braille smartwatch for the visually impaired, has advanced orders in the thousands. According to CNBC, Teen Hong began his entrepreneurial journey 4 years ago when he was just in the 8th grade. The 3-year-old brand since has become a regional success, amassing $1.2 million in annual sales across 6 Asian markets, ranking #1 in StyleShare's t-shirt category. That has enabled Hong to employ a team of 12 to help him run the site. But it has also allowed him to pay his parents back for their school fees at the American International School in Seoul, to which he relocated. And it was there that he gained inspiration for his latest venture, which he says is his true calling. With Paradox computers, Braille smartwatches, which enables the visually impaired to receive real-time information, such as texts and messages from their phone, have been on the market now for several years. So he set out to understand the market, speaking to the visually impaired people to get to know their needs and engineers to work out the solutions. 6 months on, Paradox Computer's $80 Braille smartwatch has sold in the hundreds, with a 3,000 pre-order from China currently in the works. But amid his success, Hong said he remains committed to keeping up with his studies, and who knows, as a guest speaker and a mentor at Harvard and Stanford, it may well be worth it. And now in sports news. Former Real Madrid striker Ronaldo Nazario does not think that Paris Saint-Germain will definitely win the Champions League this season, despite the addition of Lionel Messi. The current Real Valladolid president pointed to his time at Los Blancos as evidence that a strong squad on paper does not necessarily translate into winning Europe's most desired prize. ABC Amba News sports team pledges to bring you the latest updates in the Champions League this season, always and timely.